I saw one of your older talks,
Yes.
where you spoke about like bravery, um, and basically you said, in that talk, I don't know if it's what you meant, but like that bravery, that enlightenment was a result of bravery, um, or taking actions that required bravery. Is that actually what you meant?
God knows what I meant. How many years ago was that?
I have no idea. But what it applied to me for was like this avoidance pattern that I have, which seems to go really deep. And I realized that, like I'm avoiding probably also like the present moment. Um, I avoid so many things that it goes really deep to the point where it's like avoiding the present moment, maybe avoiding God. Um, and I'm wondering if it takes like the courage or bravery in order to like overcome those avoidance patterns, which ultimately can keep one from like freedom. Is that true, or is that just like a crazy mind fuck?
I think it's most probably you wanting to beat yourself up again. Like, isn't that your tendency, Brian? Like, you
Kind of
scan
is,
the
yeah.
talk and you scan the talk, and then you're like, yeah, what can I be ashamed about? Oh yeah, I'm
You're
ashamed
kind of
because I
right.
don't take
Yeah.
action. I mean, don't you take action by calling in? Like, how many people call in? That's certainly not avoidance. I'm sure you could find
I mean,
some reason
that's
as to why it's avoidance.
well, yeah, because sometimes like I feel from the heart to call in, and I'm just like, no, I don't want to be on the internet right now. And I'm like, okay, I'm avoiding, and then I beat myself up. That's true.
Yeah, you love it. I
But
mean, how many other people phone in? Like, I mean, like it's like about it's under 1% of people from my talks call in. Under, like it
right,
must be like 0.01. So,
right.
like I think I don't know what I was saying, but more than likely, or speaking from this moment, I was most probably talking about like stepping out of the bounds of what you know, which does take bravery. It does take
Right.
bravery to step away from like the tradition of what everyone says that you should be and have to be.
Right. Well, the reason I asked the question is because I had this experience about 2 weeks ago where I felt this like loss, like after this session with Suzanne, my therapist, and I was sitting in the yard and like it felt a lot like loss. Um, and it just like kind of turned into love. And then I started like giving myself more to that love and it like grew and it
Mm.
became like presence um and in very, very strange moments where I wouldn't have expected it, it would just like become totally that. And then I felt like I did some things, and maybe this was me looking for like reasons to beat myself up, but then I did some things that didn't feel like they were in line, or I avoided some things in my life, and then I was like, then the love seemed to like dissipate, the energy like left my body, and I was like, oh God, I did something wrong.
That's
And I beat
so
myself
that's
up
yeah,
about
that's
like
so not
doing something
true.
horribly wrong.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
firstly, like the assumption is that there is somebody inside of Brian doing all of this. There is life happening, and you're a series of events. So everything that you do right now, it comes from everything that happened before in one way, and then it's also coming spontaneously from the moment. And in that, you've got a voice that says, I am doing it. So even if you did go the opposite direction towards love, which is kind of imaginary, but even if that were the case, it wasn't your fault. You couldn't have done it any other way. Like that shame isn't true. So it's just staying present to that shame. So actually in that experience was what happened was the love dissipated for unknown reasons. Could be because you didn't act authentically, but it could be that for other reasons as well. And then what appeared was this mass feeling of shame, which was maybe in the heart or the solar plexus. Do you know where you felt that shame?
yeah, somewhere in the belly, it might have been the solar plexus, but it really
Yeah.
was like the feeling like I really messed this up. Like this was my shot at freedom or something, like
And
this
this
was
is
going to
absolutely
grow.
not true. Like seeing that this isn't true. Like this is what you'll have done if you had like a corporate job and you didn't get the promotion, you would have done the same to yourself.
Yeah.
The same at university or college or whatever you were doing, you would be beating yourself up. It's not true. There is no one there to be shameful. Life happens. Like there's nobody that's guilty and there's nobody to be blamed. It's a happening. You are not guilty, Brian. It's like reverse narcissism. It's taking on like too much responsibility, like inverted narcissism. I'm just joking, but it's like you're claiming
Right.
too
No, 'cause,
much. Like I messed up. I messed up. Who messed up? I did well.
yeah.
I did well. I made it. Who?
That's
It's a
like that's
happening.
like the codependence as well. The codependent patterns are basically like taking responsibility for others not feeling good or being good, and like I can see
Mm,
how I do that all the
mm,
time as well.
mm.
Yeah. So is that the key to like not beating myself up? Is like going into the or feeling the shame or like
Well, I
recognizing
mean,
that I'm not the one
the
like
key we don't know really in the end. Like it seems like an act of wisdom for there to be these thoughts and then come back to the basic feeling, the shame, and seeing that that's not true. Shame is a very strong feeling though that has trauma in it, so it might not be wise to sit in the shame too long, but doing this thing where you say this isn't true, and then imagining what you've done well. Like, so
right,
pushing it away, and that's not avoidance, because the reason I suggest that is because shame can turn into it can turn into a trauma, and then you get stuck in this trauma, and then you're like it's too much to handle. So it's like, this isn't true. I've not done something wrong. Like I don't need to go there right now. So you know the feeling, so
right,
recognizing the feeling and this isn't true, and then telling yourself what you did well. But so that might be a wise thing to
right,
do, but whether or not you do it, we don't know. It's down to God, and maybe there is something else better that you could do, we don't know. So like in the end, it's I don't know, but that seems like a wise thing to do.
right. Like I think I do that. I mean, that's what Suzanne encourages me to do is like go more into the joy body instead of the pain body. I mean, that's her way of, speaking.
Mm,
So, but it does work sometimes pretty
yeah.
well, yeah.
Sometimes it's got too
So,
strong.
no, go on.
Sometimes it gets too strong and then you can't break it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I remember this thing that Adyashanti said, which was like the ego, I really resonated with that, was like the ego is a contraction in the belly. And that's like really what I feel it as. Uh, If that's the feeling, like what's the way to break it? If that's true, if that seems true,
Yeah, I would say that
you know,
that the contraction is
it feels like,
like I would say from the third eye down to the root chakra, but maybe it feels different for
yeah,
everybody. So that's what the contraction is.
yeah,
So for me, the way that it gets broken is this investigation into this subject, presenting yourself to this subject, and then all ideas begin to dissipate and get dug up and seen to be not true. Like everything you think about reality isn't the truth. Everything. Like the thing that is true is what's happening, this live presence that's watching, that's here right now. Everything else isn't true. So your shame isn't true, your joys aren't true, your failings, your successes, nothing's true. The world, no world, non-duality, not non-duality. It's like what is what's here, and it's radical.
so it's really like giving up like the way the mind works
Yeah, it's a disidentification with
because
that. Yeah, that is
yeah,
something that happens, but it's not you. The mind works, the mind functions, but it's not you. It's not the experiencer. It's an experience peering in this vastness of what you are.
So it seems like often there's either like a holding on to the mystical experiences of that like zooming out, or there's a holding on to like the mind and the familiarity of like old patterns.
Mm.
Is there a way to like not hold on to, I mean, that's the ideal, right? Not to hold on to either.
It's something that happens. Like, who would hold on or not hold on? Like, can you choose to not hold on now? Can you choose to let go? Can you choose to hold on? It's a happening. It gets undug by itself. There is an investigation and it gets dug up and dug up and dug up. Sometimes can be instant, like really happen in a flash when somebody hasn't done an investigation, but normally what tends to have happened is they've lost a lot of things. It's like there's a surrender that happens, like a giving in to fighting life.
Yeah. Does that mean it's karmic?
You could say that everything's karmic. It depends how you look at it. Like, it's all happening without you. So there's nothing with like free will and volition that's acting separately.
Right. Okay. Okay, cool.
Nice. Thanks, Brian. Lovely to
Thank you,
speak with you
Lisa.
again.
I appreciate it. Really
Yeah,
nice to speak to you too.
lots of love.
See you, Lisa.
Bye.
Lots of love. Bye.
Lisa, what is the singularity? The singularity, what does that actually mean? It's not clear. What does it mean? The singularity is when AIs, like artificial intelligence, become more intelligent than us. And that's when we begin to give birth to this new life.